We all love watching funny comedy movies, but we also love watching scary horror movies. Now, what do we get when we combine both of them? Well, this, which it's not really great. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about this. And this is the award-winning Korean film Parasite, which may just look like a standard drama movie on the outside, but can actually be quite haunting. At the start of the film, we get a look at the living conditions of the lower-class Kim family, having to steal their neighbor's Wi-Fi, and the toilet being ironically at the top of the house. Not only because, it's built like that due to plumbing system, but it's to show how they're in a position that's treated lower than waste. But more on that later. Throughout the first half of the film, the son of the Kim family gets a job with the help of his friend, as a tutor in the house of the incredibly wealthy upper-class Park family. The only thing his friend tells him is the mother is simple. He gets a job teaching their daughter, who he later falls in love with, but after their first lesson, he sees an opportunity in getting his sister a job, so he makes up a story about a supposed art teacher he knows, and now they both have jobs. But the daughter decides there's more to do, and ends up framing the Park family's driver for explicit activities in the family car. She ends up suggesting her dad as a driver to Mr. Park, who ends up hiring him, but seems to always complain about his smell. After finding out the Park's housekeeper has a peach allergy, they end up convincing Mrs. Park that she has tuberculosis, and end up suggesting their mother for the job through a fake business card, which Mr. Park considers professional, showing his complete obliviousness, and hires her without any second thought. Now the parasites have been placed into the Park home successfully, the Park family decides to go on a camping trip to celebrate the birthday of their son, Dasong. So the Kim family takes this opportunity to live in the house, until the door rings, and the family are greeted with this disturbing image. A former housekeeper asking to be let in, and after a period of hesitance, Mrs. Kim proceeds to let her in, while the rest of her family hides and watches from a distance. Mrs. Kim decides to follow her, only to find her in this disturbing position, where she asks her to help push this large obstacle. After it's out of the way, a large hallway is revealed, descending beyond the house, and this is where the movie officially starts changing. The start of the scene, the housekeeper, even occurs at the very middle of the script, which just further shows the separation of the film. Moving through the corridor, we, the viewer, sort of have an anxious feeling about this, as if we don't want Mrs. Kim to follow her to the end. But we end up finding out that it's just an underground bunker where the housekeeper's husband resides, to hide from debt collectors, and who's probably lost his sanity as he was also drinking milk from a baby bottle. But we end up finding out that he stayed in the basement for 4 years, and once Mrs. Kim attempts to call the police to get rid of them, the family ends up falling downstairs and they get recorded by the housekeeper, which forces them into a situation where they can't really do anything, so they just wait there. And after a few minutes of nonsensical conversation between the housekeeper and the husband, the Kims charge at them and end up deleting the videos after triggering the housekeeper's allergic reaction, and end up finding out the Park family are on their way home in 8 minutes. So the Kim's family throw the disturbed couple into the basement, and instead of cleaning up all the glass, they just sweep it under the furniture and hide. Before treating Mrs. Kim to dinner, the housekeeper escapes the basement. When we're trying to get help, she's kicked down the stairs in almost a comedic way. Mr. Kim is left with no choice but to leave her body in the basement, only to figure out she's alive, but probably not for long. After hiding throughout the night, the Park couple decides to sleep on a couch to watch over their son in the garden, and he ends up picking up the smell, again making another complaint. They end up sneaking home and realize due to the rainfall there's been a flood, which isn't good for them, but it's considered a blessing by the Park family. It leads to the flooding of their house, and now the parasites have been drowned from the waste of the result of their leeching of the rich. The next day, Mr. Kim drives Mrs. Park, and again his smell is picked up and silently judged. Towards the climax of the film, the family are now confused with the situation that's been placed on their plates. The two people that only they know about sitting in the basement and what they should do about it. The Parks decide to host a birthday party for their son and invite the Kims over, and this gives their son second thoughts. So he decides to check the basement and finds the unconscious, perhaps dead housekeeper, and only to find himself being choked by the now insane husband, who's developed a bloodlusted intention to kill the Kims. After narrowly escaping them, the son desperately runs while being chased in a very terrifying scene, which is it just makes me scared. And the film has us thinking that, yeah, he's gonna escape the crazy man. Well, maybe he just fell over, but he's definitely gonna get. And now the only thing left for us to do is witness.
자켓 어디라고 그냥!
And Mr. Kim is completely left dazed from what he's just seen and completely ignores Mr. Park's request to get out of there. One thing manages to set him off. When Mr. Park goes to collect the keys to his car, the biggest thing he acknowledges is the smell, ultimately pulling the final mental trigger for Mr. Kim. At the end of the film, the son of the Kims figures out through Morse code that his dad fled into the Park's basement and ends up becoming rich and buying out the house to reunite with his father, only to reveal that that's his elusive goal and is letting him into his father, which he most likely will never achieve. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please let me know what I should upload below in the comments.